Just recently, we got the news about the arrest of some pro-Biafra agitators somewhere at Nnewi. They are currently being tried for not just treason, but for act of terrorism. This, we got the information from the legal representative of IPOB. We have him on point as he explains in details the right for the Biafran people, as covered by the Nigerian Constitution, to agitate for self-determination, and the agitation for self-determination is and can never be termed illegal within the confines of law in Nigerian Constitution. I have him right here with me to explain further on the legal battle between the Biafrans and the Nigerian authorities. Just stay right there while I bring you the gist. Okay, sir. Apparently, we know that you are a very important personality when it comes to the representation of Biafran groups or the legal battle between the Biafran people and the federal government. You are been a very prominent legal member or the crew representing the IPOBs in court. Now, the recent arrest by the Nigerian forces or Nigerian security operatives of some pro-Biafran agitators, and we've got the information about their trial for treason or act of treason and act of terror as well. So we want to get from you, what is the situation on ground now?
Anyway, first of all, my name is Aloy Ejimako. I'm a barrister and advocate, and I'm one of the several counsels to the Indigenous People of Biafra. To answer your question specifically, I think it was about 5 days ago, just a bunch of innocent youths who went to Aguleri to bury one of their friends who died recently, and on their way back from Aguleri, they were passing through Ibuku, and they were accosted by elements of Nigerian police who claimed that the boys had Biafran flags in their possession, and eventually it led to some arrests. Specifically, 3 of them were arrested, and their vehicles were seized, 2 buses and 4 motorcycles. As we speak right now, those 2 vehicles are the CPC Nnewi, where they are being held as some kind of exhibits according to police, and subsequently these 3 youths were charged to the Federal High Court at Oka, and a perusal of the charge sheet indicated that they are being charged under the Terrorism Prevention Act of 2011, specifically charging them with possession of IPOB paraphernalia, namely, specifically IPOB flag or flag that bore Biafra on it, and for charging them for professing to be members of IPOB. Anyway, this case is before a federal high court, so I really want to be very careful about what I say on the case because it's sub judice. But I think one can say generally that what is happening in Igbo land, in Nigeria or the present era, is really not very fair. It's very unfair, especially in Igbo land. With respect to Igbos, the heightened arrest of Igbo people who dare exercise their right to freely assemble, their right to express themselves, and their constitutional right to belong to any association. The heightened mode of doing these arrests and prosecutions is something I think that needs the intervention of all well-meaning Nigerians and members of the international community. But at least for now, because it's happening in Igbo land, we have senators, we have members of the House of Rep, we have governors, from the southeastern part of the country who really should approach the president and the IGP or anybody that is issuing out these orders of arrest to really step it down, because it is strengthening the suspicion, the speculation that Igbos are not being treated as equal citizens in this country. We have seen more heinous crimes being committed elsewhere. I'm not just going to go ahead mentioning those crimes. Everybody knows about it, that these people are non-violent. They are revelers. They are expressing themselves, and what they are doing really is not an offense in Nigeria. If you consider it, Nigeria ratified the African Charter on Human and People's Rights. Not only ratifying it, Nigeria also adopted it as part of its own laws. It's called domestication. Nigeria domesticated the law, so it's part of our law. It is even so organic, so central to our jurisprudence, that when you do an application for enforcement of fundamental rights, you cite two sets of laws. Number one is chapter 4 of the Nigerian Constitution, where those rights are contained, and number 2 is the charter, the African Charter on Human and People's Rights. Then number 3 is under the inherent jurisdiction of this honorable court. So that underscores how profound that law is to this country. It's not just a treaty, it's not a foreign law. And if you read that law, it's very clearly spelled out there that Africans, including Nigerians, have the right to self-determination. What my clients are doing is not war, it's not violence, it's not intimidation of government. They are simply expressing a right guaranteed under a Nigerian law called the African Charter on Human and People's Rights. Part of that is also found in our constitution, even though our constitution did not specifically use the word self-determination. The word self-determination was specifically used in the charter. So anybody that rises in Nigeria and says, I want to express my right to self-determination, I want referendum on whether I want to continue to be a Nigerian or not, for God's sake, is not committing an offense. The person is actually taking advantage of the provisions of the law, if not what we have agreed to be the rules of natural justice, that people are entitled to their freedom. But let us assume, for the sake of argument, that Nigeria is one country. That law says, well, you can say you don't want to belong, provided you are not going to do it by force. My clients are not doing anything by force. They are just talking. They are too small to intimidate the head of state. Do you understand? They are not doing anything by force, and this dates back to 2015. If you interpret these laws properly, anybody that is in court or detention or facing any criminal charges at this time on the basis of agitating for self-determination shouldn't even be at the police station at all. That is just the truth. That is just the truth, and that is the true statement of the law. That these people are in court at all is because of overzealousness on the part of the government of the day for suppressing what I really don't know what they are afraid of. And I think it's time that men and women of goodwill begin to speak out. It shouldn't be left to lawyers alone. It shouldn't be left to the judiciary alone, because of course, if you take any matter to court, if I take you to court now and say you are no longer male but you're female, of course the action is there. But if somebody taps me on the shoulder and say, hey, don't do it, you're making a fool of yourself, I probably wouldn't do it. So expecting all these things to ride through the process, the run of the mill of the judiciary, is not really the right thing to do. I think the political leaders of this country, especially those from the Southeast, they really need to begin to ask questions. What is really going on that these people cannot freely move about again anymore? It's not something that should be swept under the carpet.
But one important thing that Biafran people out there would like to understand: is there any part of Nigerian constitution that prohibits anyone from mentioning Biafra or carrying anything inscribed or designed with the Biafran colors?
There is nothing like that in the constitution of the country. There is nothing like that in any law or any subsidiary legislation in Nigeria. Biafra is not a proscribed organization. Biafra is not a terrorist organization. However, there was an incident that occurred last year, I believe in September, where the Attorney General of the Federation went to the Federal High Court with an ex parte application without notice to the Indigenous People of Biafra, seeking an order of the Federal High Court to declare it a terrorist organization and to proscribe it. And that application was granted. And that application was granted, and the order has not been vacated. But that order is subject of an appeal before the Court of Appeal. So a sensible thing to do, if you are not being overzealous and discriminatory, is wait for the appeal to play out before you begin to charge young people from Igbo land to court as terrorists or as belonging to proscribed organization. The federal government is well aware that the case is still in court. It's before the Court of Appeal.
Some people have argued that IPOB is not an organization. So why should a people be proscribed in Nigeria? Whereas there are other groups, more violent, agitating groups from other parts of the country, some of them claiming land and some of them claiming Islamic territory. But none of these have been proscribed as terrorists. But the much less non-violent people agitating for self, just like you pointed out, that self-determination is contained in the Nigerian Constitution as adopted by the Nigerian Legislative Act.
Assembly.
Yeah.
Yes, of course, that is correct. Proscribing these people, in fact, the argument was presented in court. IPOB is not even registered in Nigeria. It's a fluid organization. The only way you can say that IPOB is a legal entity is in those countries where it is registered as a legal entity. So if you take it to court in those countries as a legal entity, that can be understandable. But IPOB as it exists in the country of Nigeria now is a fluid organization that almost captures the minds and the of Igbo people.
Okay, I want to point this to a direction. I think that is where I'm going to wrap it up on this. I want to point you to this direction. Have your team ever argued with respect to IPOB, Indigenous People of Biafra? IPOB is an acronym. Indigenous People of Biafra. Have you and your team in the legal prosecution defending the Biafran agitators, have you argued to the line that IPOB is a people and not an organization? And what is your stance on that?
Well, when the order of proscription and declaration of IPOB as a terrorist organization issued from Justice Kafrati, the acting Chief Judge of the Federal High Court, there was a motion, application to vacate that order that was filed. This very point you raised was one of the arguments. The argument actually revolves around what lawyers call unregistered organizations. So the argument was canvassed before the Federal High Court judge. He refused. He said, well, it's an unregistered organization, but I'll take cognizance that is a legal person that can be brought before my court. And that's what he ruled. And that issue is one of the issues that is going to be decided by the Court of Appeal. But I got to tell you this, it's a minor collateral issue. The main issue there is whether IPOB satisfied the conditions to declare it a terrorist organization. The answer is a resounding no. Do you understand? And in answering that question, you have to make reference to the real world. Lawyers and courts and judges, they use what is called the reasonable man's standard. If a reasonable man on the street, no reasonable man on the street of this country and on the streets of the international community believes that IPOB is a terrorist organization. So applying the reasonable man's standards, the test that IPOB, or the question whether it's a terrorist organization or not, must be resolved in its favor. But guess what? There are organizations in Nigeria or other bodies in Nigeria that met and even surpass the definition of what a terrorist organization is. But those organizations are not being taken to court to be declared one. I think that is food for thought for every well-meaning Nigerian out there.
Thank you so much for giving us your time. It's a pleasure. And we hope to have you again.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you. You have heard it all from him, and I believe you can take it up from here for further discussion. Drop your comments down there and let the discussion continue. This is BVI Channel 1. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel to be getting more reports from this station. Don't forget, here we see it, we say it. That is the way it goes for us right here. For you to get more news update, I've said it earlier, subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on all our social media platforms. Don't forget, from the link down below you'll see the links for our apps. Get all the apps, install them on your on your gadgets, and you have all the information on the go at the tips of your finger. Till I come your way next time, I still remain our solution repeaters, saying stay blessed and above all, stay safe. Goodbye.